you ready to listen to my dad Joe and Uncle Justin talk about sports? Now on with the show.
The Joe Mays and J-Raff Show is brought to you by Mays Sandwich Shop, which have been serving the greater West Lawn area delicious food for over 70 years.
So get ready! I mean, get ready! Are you ready for some football?
You are listening to the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show. A weekly podcast about sports since 2011. With a focus on football. Now, here are your hosts, Joe Mays and Justin Raffauf.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show for episode 440. Amazing that we've made it that far, but Justin, we might get a little bit of flack here in the next 6 weeks about that weekly part of the introduction.
I can picture it coming from your dad already. So.
He is not listening here tonight, which is a rarity. He may joke all the time about, oh, well, I fell asleep. But I would say 9 times out of 10, maybe even 99 times out of 100 when we do this show, he is watching and listening live. But not so right now. He's on his way to Bermuda. So
Ooh, nice.
Not listening or watching this evening. I don't know if, actually I do know, Uncle Rich also not watching because he is also on his way to Bermuda. So 2 of our mainstays not watching live with us, but
Oh, good. We can say whatever we want about the Cowboys and Patriots.
but you know my uncle always watches after the fact.
And he'll have the receipts, yes.
But so those 2 off the board, not watching live. There are 2 others normally watching live, but one of them isn't watching live this evening because she's actually here with us right now.
Right.
That is your mom, Cheryl. Thanks for joining us here this evening.
Hey, thank you.
And you are on here because you won your way on.
I won.
You are the champion.
Is this
how does
where
it feel?
Is this where we play the song "We Are the Champions"?
Is that we are the champions? You should have queued me up beforehand. I could have had that ready to go.
Actually, this was the bracket that I just picked willy-nilly. The one that I was intentional about tanked. So
Sometimes it pays to not know what you're
Right,
doing,
exactly.
right? That's how I've ended up with many guests on this show for this exact thing. Corinne's been on here. She has no idea what she's talking about when it comes to March Madness. But who was your champ? You went with...
I couldn't even tell you. I couldn't even tell you who I
I think
picked.
she had Michigan.
I was going to say you
Yeah.
probably had Michigan if you're
Yeah.
sitting here with us.
Yeah.
So you bested your husband, your son, your daughter,
My grandson.
your grandson, both of them.
Colton came pretty close.
He did, yeah. Did he give you any grief for beating him?
I don't think he really paid attention
he
to
had
it.
He had no idea.
But
So, well,
I've let the family know.
Oh,
that,
absolutely,
Especially
yeah.
Jamie. So that's it. That's the
well, this
important
is the
one.
feather in your cap right here. We're making good on our not our bet, but our award for participating. We get over 60 brackets each year, which is fantastic, and we always enjoy rewarding the winner with the opportunity to come on the show and the show shirt, which I have there for Justin to give to you. There you go. You can wear that with pride. Always.
Oh, nice.
They've made their way around. I mean, we presented them to Chad when he was
Yeah.
on our 100th episode, believe it or not, which is almost 13 years ago now. The show is over 15 years old. But you've been here with us since day one. I remember on our 1-year anniversary, you brought balloons over to us. That was back in February 2012. So, yeah, long history.
2012, 14 years
Yeah,
ago.
14 years ago. Yeah, it's a long, long time. But we're going to open up the floor to you. Now, Justin texted me a few weeks ago about some of the topics you were possibly interested in covering this evening. So what's the first topic you want to talk to us about?
The first topic I picked was pet peeves in
Okay.
sports. What are
Sports
some of your
pet
True
peeves.
Baltimore fan, right? there.
what are some of your pet peeves? And one of my biggest pet peeves is the record keeping now
Okay.
on strikeouts, on touchdowns, on your quarterbacks, or in any field that it's not a level playing field anymore. So to say you broke
Oh, like comparing eras
yes,
and okay, I
eras.
got you.
So that really bothers me. So I really, when they say, "Oh, well, this quarterback does that," well, you can't touch a quarterback anymore. So
you feel like there should
Chad
be
might take
asterisks.
offense to that, but
There should be asterisks
there should
on
be
all these,
asterisks
yeah.
on those because you can't do some of the things. Now, in fairness, they're bigger, better, stronger. I understand, but they're better protected. And so it really bothers me when I hear that, this quarterback has this record or this kicker has that record. You don't have guys running at you like you had before. So that's my biggest pet peeve. What are yours?
I do agree with you in that regard. I don't let it bother me during the live broadcast just because they're kind of putting stuff out there. But when it comes up is when you're trying to rank the
Yes.
greatest of all time. Justin and I have done many of those shows.
When you do those shows, I just get angry.
Well, I feel like we do a pretty good job
do.
of saying it's hard to classify
It is.
eras. Some sports I think it's harder than others, especially like baseball when you're dealing with almost 150 or maybe more than 150 years of baseball statistics and records. That's hard to classify. And I know just recently they brought in records that weren't actually MLB records, and now they
Right.
include them. I forget what the Negro League, what that league was called.
Right,
But they
right.
incorporated them into the MLB and changed a whole bunch of their official records, which I know got some people really heated because they're like, well, that wasn't an MLB league. Why is it? There's all kinds of discussions about that. In a game itself, talking about, oh, well, he's the record holder, I don't get caught up in that.
Right.
But yes, when you are comparing eras, and I mean, because I'm a huge Dolphins fan, I think Dan Marino is still the greatest quarterback of all time.
I think he's a wonderful quarterback.
But he doesn't hold a candle to Tom Brady in terms of Super Bowls. And now the current crop of quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson going to be among them, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
They also, by and large, and for the bulk of their career, they're going to have played 17 games a season instead of 16. Well, then when Dan Marino was breaking records, people were saying, well, he played 16 games, not 14. And then the guys who played 14, well, they were playing 12. So you can go all down the list.
Well, and then you go from playing outdoors on grass
Yeah.
and dirt to turf and climate controlled.
You're right.
It's a whole different game. I mean, that's Green Bay's, that's their bread and butter.
Well, and-
Should be their bread and butter.
And think about, I mean, we're seeing this in a big way this year with baseball, but think about the changes in technology that have adapted to better record keeping, but also changing, plays and human error.
Oh,
It's
absolutely.
amazing the type of statistical, like everything could have an asterisk probably to say why is this different than when it started in the 1890s or the 1920s.
Well, how many strikeouts does this pitcher have? Because now he had how many overturned when before that there wouldn't have
Or
been.
look at even basketball, crazy rule change where the 3-point line didn't exist.
Right, yeah.
Like the 3-point line didn't exist. Like you look at somebody tracked Pistol Pete. Like if while he was at LSU, if the 3-point line would have existed, just tracking his shots that he made, right? Like he already has crazy records. They would be mind blowing, because he was making a ton of shots every single night, and all of them were worth 2. It didn't matter if he was 30 feet from the basket or not, it's really interesting. I just saw a thing just the other week that it was a player, and they were talking about who is one of the who's a veteran player, or not veteran, but who is a player from generations past that kind of doesn't get his due now. And the guy said Dan Marino, and he's like, he was throwing 4,000 yards a season when no one else was throwing 2. He's like, it's not just, and they went on to say, and I don't know, they said that Dan Shula didn't make the most of
Don Shula.
Don Shula did not make the most of him.
Right.
Like that he could have been even greater.
So-
but that Don Shula was very successful, but he was in that old school mindset, and Dan Marino still was throwing for crazy.
There's I don't call it sports media, but sports group on socials. I saw this on TikTok. I think it's BDGE. We may have used them in the past for one of those random shows
Okay.
we've done where we've pulled like sports
Right,
trivia
right.
stuff. They were on there. I think it was like a blind ranking, blind listing thing, and it was like it might have been like all-time quarterbacks, but you have no idea who's going to come up. And it's like you keep 3, cut 5 or something like that. And the first one was, I think, Josh Allen, and they immediately kept. I'm like, man, that's bold to do when it's literally any quarterback in the history of the league could come up. Josh Allen's your first one, and you keep him. So you now only have 2 more keeps, 5 cuts. And I think they only had kept Allen when Marino came up and was one of them. And this is people younger than Justin and I. This
Oh, wow.
is,
Well, they wouldn't.
I want to say mid to late 20s. So a good 10, 12 years younger. That's 12 to 15 years maybe. And the 3 of the 4 like immediately like cut. And I'm just like, I'm like ready to throw my phone through the wall. Because I think did Lamar came up either before or after Dan. I wish I had it ready to go, because I immediately went to the comments, and everyone in the comments is like, tell me you know nothing about football without telling me you know nothing about football. And to be fair, the host of this one, which they rotate through, like one of them hosts and the other 3 or 4 sit on the panel. The host of this one was like, you guys are cutting Dan Marino in favor of some of these like current, like recency bias was insane.
Right.
for
Like, so
this.
for example, like, I'm not saying this one, but like, there'd probably be lots of people now who are like, I shouldn't say lots. There'd probably be people who are like, oh, Joe Burrow, like Joe Burrow is.
Yeah, I don't
this and
think
that.
he came up.
And it's just like, like, but even, I don't know.
But in true
Honestly,
ball,
if you look at any of the guys right now, any of them other than Mahomes, like Mahomes, you have an argument. And you have an argument for longevity right now for Marino. But like, there's, there'd be a conversation there. I don't know that there's another active quarterback
well, I
that
think,
I would say that I would place over Marino.
well,
you know,
look,
like-
I believe that in terms of, I'm not thinking specifically Marino, but that Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson can join Mahomes as the current crop
Oh.
of quarterback as being Hall of Fame guys.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But right now, neither Allen or Jackson have that moment like Mahomes has had. I think statistically wise, they're on their way. Like
Well,
I think
and-
both are going to get there.
and even if the knock on Dan Marino,
There's no
fair or
Super
unfair,
Bowls.
is no Super Bowl. Neither one of those guys has been to a Super Bowl.
Right. He
So,
was.
so like,
once his second year.
Right.
I,
so-
painful.
I was all of like 2 months old when he played in the Super Bowl.
So
but-
like, but it's one of those where the knock that you would have against that guy
right.
is also a knock
Right.
against these guys.
Yeah.
exactly. I was going to say, I always think that I don't know how much longer Lamar will be with the Ravens, but
Yeah.
I often see him in that same, lot. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
That's-
He gets them there where he needs to be. Is it too little, too late? I don't know,
Yeah.
but I think statistically wise, and that's where I get frustrated. Yes, Tom Brady is Tom Brady. Ugh. But I shiver when I say it. But in his later years, and maybe this is my Baltimore bias, I just felt like he was protected a little bit more to be able to make those throws. And I think
100% was. That's
and in all-
exactly how
and in
he
all
got
fairness,
there when they beat the
you
Chiefs
know,
in the AFC Championship
you-
game. That's exactly what it was.
when you're good, you get those calls.
Right. Well, that's true. There is the
Right.
other side of that.
When you're good, you get those calls. However, I think that taints the records. Now, people may say that same thing sort of happened eras ago, maybe, but the record keeping just seems to be negating the grandness of past players,
I think
in my
the hard
opinion.
part too, though, is like if you look back at, let's go back to like Johnny Unitas, for example, right? If you go back to that, it's hard because when Johnny Unitas was there, think about how much less football history there was.
Right.
So like you're placing guys into the discussion with so much less. And then it's not that there has been just more football, but think about how that game, and you could apply this to any of them.
Right.
Like, look at baseball, how we can analyze and look at all it, like the amount of sports consumption, regardless of viewership, but like consumption, the radio talk shows, the podcasts,
and-
the articles written, all the stuff. There's so much more consumption of it that like there's just so much more to digest and process.
Well, and just think in the 60s and I'm sure probably into the early 70s, the NFL players, this was a part-time job.
yes,
It's like, like it wasn't even
They
their
had other
job.
jobs.
They were-
But it also takes me to my other pet peeve is that I think the seasons are going way too long for every
All right.
sport.
Before we move on to that one, I wanted to add on to your pet peeve. I wanted to throw one at you because then this one might be a little bit of a surprise. Justin, you might have heard me say something like this before because you know I love stats, not the record keeping kind necessarily, but like I like the whenever the broadcast throws something up, I like when they do stuff like that. I like comparing things like that in current seasons. I like using that as an evaluation tool. I am not really a sabermetrics guy. These advanced stats and baseball primarily, but it has crept up in recent years to hockey. There's a whole bunch of
Yes,
advanced
a lot
hockey
for
statistics, and I just look at that. I'm like, and maybe this is like I'm too old for it now. You know, like when we're growing up, and probably the way that when sabermetrics came around, when the like the older baseball generation was like, I don't want anything to do with that, but we embraced more advanced than just average and ERA,
Right.
when they went a little bit, but like we've gone so far, and especially when it comes to front offices using it as the only evaluation tool, I'm out on that.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
that is a huge pet peeve of mine, and we kind of saw that with the Phillies with what's his name, the manager,
Gabe Kapler.
Gabe Kapler.
Yep.
That was a big thing.
No, it was purely he was just the guy reading inputs, outputs.
this
Like,
this
that's
is
all it
this
was.
is what the computer says.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And
Yes.
like that,
But the
sports,
computer said you should have gotten a hit today. Well, yeah, but I'm in an 0 for 14 streak.
and I know we're trying to remove the human element from the officiating aspect across the board. We're seeing it with ABS now in MLB,
Right,
which I
right.
think has been a huge success. I think it's been great because
But you've changed the shortening of the game from the 2-minute pitch because now you're doing
Yeah, but only
3
a-
minutes.
but
Oh, yeah.
with
only
minimal.
well, I mean,
yeah.
if you get it wrong, it's only 4 times. But I do like it.
You
but
need to get it right.
you do need to get it right, and that's why honestly I think they could expand ABS to 3 per team. You
Right.
get 3 strikes and you're out.
I
It
heard
just
an
feels
interesting
like-
thing today that somebody said because of the basically the error margin for the system is like 1/10 of an inch basically, and there are some. And he said
Less than a 10th?
Right. He said when it marks it as less than 1/10, it shouldn't be overturned. Like it or whatever. You know, like the process should stand, but it shouldn't cost you your thing. Like it should just basically
Yeah.
be like
I
it should
could
just
live with
basically
that.
be like a hey. Okay, almost like
Yeah,
a do-over.
there's
like,
an error, yeah.
Right,
We don't
like,
know, like-
right,
because of that margin of
right.
error.
So the call stands.
Right. So if it was called a strike and you were saying it was a ball, but it's less than a 10th, it could go
Right,
either
right.
way. It's
It's
going to
the-
stay. What the ump called is
Right.
what it is, but
Right.
you don't lose your challenge.
You don't lose your challenge
could
because
see
it's
that, yeah.
within.
That-
Because you might have been right.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. It is amazing. It's amazing how quick it is. I love how
Oh, I love how quick
accurate
it
it
is.
seems to be
Yes.
because what
Boy,
shows
some
up.
of those pitches are just
Oh, it's amazing. But what shows up on the ABS overlay always seems really close into the overlay from the broadcast. Like
Yeah.
when we're watching NBC Sports and they have the little white box,
Yeah.
and I see, and I'm like, oh, that was a strike, and then you see the guy tap
Right.
his helmet, and I'm like, oh, that's gonna be a strike. And I honestly think they could take the power away from the pitcher. I think just letting your catcher be the one to call it feels more natural to me.
Yes.
He's closer. He has to be
I
the
also
one to
feel
frame
like
it.
the pitcher's going to have more emotion into it.
Yeah,
than the catcher.
exactly. I wouldn't mind if they were like, you know what, we're not going to let pitchers call anymore. It's only catchers and batters.
Yep.
So, but that's to round out the pet peeve portion. That's one that I get annoyed that people only rely on statistics
tough
Yeah.
for some
part-
decisions.
well,
correct.
And we have
I
this
could see that.
discussion that like tying into those statistics, these are all working off of massive number sets. You know, like but the thing is they are treating every input as equal. Like they
Yeah, that's
treat
true.
every
There's no weighted.
every at bat is equal. That's
No, it's
not
not
at all
true.
true.
Nope.
They are taking every single thing is equal, and that is not the case. And then tied to that is the thing we love to bring up is that momentum isn't real. In sports, momentum isn't real.
Well,
I know,
we're
I
in
know,
agreement.
I know. And it's just like, because they're like, well, if you look at, because they're like, oh, you went with the hot shooter. And it's like, yes, but if you look at any statistical data point, if you have enough data points,
Momentum can't be quantified.
right, everything is going to be there. And it's like,
I call
know.
bull.
But like
I-
when Steph Curry's hit 12 3-pointers in a row, I want him taking the 13th. That's what it is.
Or it's the hot legs with the running back. Like, you got to get them going, and once they get going,
Right.
just stick
Right.
with them.
Again, the key is it is treating every single thing as an equal input, and they're not.
Yeah.
Now, are there things we can and have learned from that? Absolutely. You know what? Like maybe giving up an out with a bunt isn't always the best thing. However, guess what? In extra innings, when you're placing a guy on second base and you don't have guys that have gotten hits, but they can make contact with the ball, get the guy to third so that all you need is a fly ball.
Right.
I don't know. It's just it did swing too far. I feel like there is some coming, but
like everything, we
Yes.
need to find the happy middle. We need to be everything in moderation, right? So I do think we've gone a little bit too far. So before we dive into your next topic, we'll have some listener feedback here. I've been instructed. I need to ask you about your favorite player, who is the second greatest third baseman of all time.
Was that by my husband?
I don't want to single anyone out. I want everyone to feel like this is a safe spot to message and critique and ask
Tell
questions.
him he's in trouble.
So I'm assuming this is Robinson.
Yeah,
is who
Brooks
we're talking.
Robinson.
Brooks
I
Robinson.
would say Brooks Robinson, but yeah. I can give you the what I think is 67 in field of the Baltimore Orioles. I remember Andy Etchebarren behind the plate, and then you would have had Tom Phoebus or Jim Palmer or Mike Cuellar or Dave McNally in pitcher's mound, and then you had Boog Powell and Davey Johnson and Mark Belanger and Brooks Robinson in the infield, and then you had, what was his name? Oh, Don Buford, maybe? Don Buford?
well, if it makes you feel better, you're closing in on 60 years ago.
Frank Robinson and Paul.
So, Paul Blair.
Paul Blair.
So-
and I remember when he got cracked in the eye socket with a pitch, and that's when they started bringing that shield around because he got hit in the cheekbone. But I think that was close to 67. There are some other, and I have a baseball. Well, I don't have it anymore. I think Justin and Austin have it.
I think I have it.
Have that with all those autographs on it with,
Yeah, it's the entire
So
67.
1967 Orioles: Etchebarren, Powell, Davey Johnson,
Boog Powell was first base. Right?
Aparicio.
You said him.
Louis Aparicio.
Yeah, Brooks Robinson, Kurt Bleferi,
Okay.
Paul Blair, Frank Robinson.
Yep.
That's the 8, and then obviously a few more
There are
also
other
on there.
pitchers and
But yeah, so Tom Phoebus,
yes, Phoebus,
okay, McNally.
Dave McNally.
Is it Reichert?
Yes, Pete Reichert. I have his autograph. I have a couple of these autographs, but Dave McNally was tall. He was tall, I thought. Mike Cuellar was shorter.
So Brooks Robinson was obviously the best player on that team.
Yes.
Paul Blair came in. And we're talking now in one of my favorite advanced stats in WAR. Wins above replacement. Paul Blair next, followed by Frank Robinson. Those are your top 3. So I'm pretty sure that was 67 you're talking about here.
Yeah.
It fits in real well.
But,
With,
you
of course,
know,
a young Jim Palmer.
A very young Jim Palmer. And I can remember, I just remember
That's
that
close
team.
to the time when the Orioles had 4 20-game winners. Right?
Yes. That was
Imagine that.
That was
Imagine
Dave.
that now.
That
How
was
insane is
can't.
That was Dave McNally. I think Mike Cuellar. Jim Palmer, Dove Cuellar. I don't know if Mike Cuellar. I know that I believe it was Dave McNally and Jim Palmer were two of them. I don't know who the other two were. It might have been Mike Cuellar.
So it's funny that we're talking about Jim Palmer because I just in my memories it popped up from what year is this now? How many years ago are we talking? This is 2021. So 5 years ago, I actually got a collectible trading card from Topps Project 70. I was mostly buying the Phillies guys. I have a cool McCutcheon one. I got a bunch of Bryce Harper ones. They might have done a John Kruk one, but then they did a Jim Palmer one. And the Orioles are one of the teams that I really enjoyed growing up, mostly probably because they were orange. Like I had a
love
huge
orange.
thing
Yep,
for
yep,
orange.
yep,
So I love that. But they came out with a card of Jim Palmer, and it was Pac-Man related. So I bought that. And Justin can probably see it on my screen here. It just popped up in my memories today that the card arrived 5 years ago today.
Oh, wow.
And I remember sending it the picture to Brian right away because Brian is a huge Pac-Man guy. And he's like, too bad it's not a Phillies player. I was like, that's fine, but it's Orioles, so we're good here.
We're good.
I believe Jim Palmer played for the Reading Phillies, though.
Did he really?
Jim Palmer did?
I know. Well, maybe he didn't, but I've seen him at a Reading Phillies game when I was in high school.
He didn't live too far away from where I grew up, so a couple of my friends used to babysit for him.
Interesting. That's a connection to a baseball legend. All right. So sorry for the interruption.
That's okay.
Just had to get that one in
That's
there.
okay. He's still the best, but that's all right.
What's your next topic? Where else do you want to
Which
go?
was the long seasons. I think
right.
I
Yes,
think the
yes.
seasons have gone way and
all major sports you're talking?
yes, just call me old, but I think we shouldn't be playing baseball the end of October. We shouldn't be
Yes.
playing
We're in November.
football in February,
Yeah,
and I in my brain they justify it because the money that they're paying these players,
Yep.
but I just think it draws it out too long. Baseball should start in August and end of September, first week of October should be done. We should be done. And I don't know whether it's because of, we shouldn't be playing ice hockey
in June.
in June.
No,
It's
so
ice hockey. We shouldn't be playing ice hockey in June.
for people that know me, probably would be most people, because Justin and I have had this conversation. I think, and if you've listened to the show, you probably know what I'm going to say, and I know you know what I'm going to say. Generally, more is better for me when it comes to a lot of things. I mean, just look at the down here. There's a lot of stuff down
This
here.
is sensory overload.
But when it comes to sports, I do think some of the seasons are miscast, misplaced, or too long.
Yes.
I think basketball and hockey fall into that.
It's funny to me, sorry, not to cut you off, but like basketball, that's one of the things they're talking about. And it's difficult because games are money, right? And they're talking about shortening the NBA season, possibly. Not significantly, but having a little bit shorter. Hockey is adding two games.
Hockey's adding 2 games, yeah. So, and I love hockey. I'm not a
Two
huge,
seems like such a weird
really
number.
random, yeah. I'm not a huge NBA guy. We don't talk
I don't
NBA
follow
a lot.
much NBA
I
at
don't.
all.
Yeah, it's just there's peaks and valleys when it comes to that, depending on what's going on, But followed it a lot more closely in the late '90s, early 2000s with Alvin Iverson. Like that era was bigger for me. It's been tough over the last 25 years to really get grab a hold to NBA, but I do think NBA could be cut. Honestly, I think NBA and NHL seasons should be about the same length, and I feel like the best spot is whatever works best scheduling wise is probably in the like 62 to 76 games. Like you're cutting back 6 to 20 games. I think it needs to be reduced a little bit. And I think they need to do a better job of scheduling their playoff series so that we don't run into playing at least hockey into June. Honestly, would love if hockey was ending in like April. I feel like that's a natural stopping.
Yes.
I could see hockey starting a little earlier. They start mid-October, sort of, maybe like early mid-October, because I think it's usually like around October 6th to 10th or something like that. But basketball is about 2 weeks later.
They're not even halfway through the hockey playoffs yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just,
But
and I'm not a huge hockey person, but what do you mean they're still playing?
I feel like hockey should start a few weeks earlier, cut back about 10, 12 games.
Right, starting earlier isn't bad if you're not playing into June.
Right.
Like,
Yes, right. Start in like mid-September, like a week or so after Labor Day, and try to wrap up your season by mid-May then, and not linger, or even, end of April, very end of April. I don't want to see them cut playoff games because
No.
Stanley Cup playoffs are fantastic.
And you know what? Every 4 years you adjust for the Winter Olympics.
Sure.
Like, that's fine.
Absolutely.
Like, because no one like us is going to complain that if you're taking the Winter Olympic break and you're allowing NHL guys to play in the Olympics.
Oh, that was one of my other pet peeves, but go ahead.
And NBA, I'm at the same thing. Like, give me 72 games, start maybe a few weeks earlier, like in early October instead of end of October, and try to have your season wrapped up by Memorial Day.
Yeah.
Baseball, we've talked about this. I easily think they could drop 20 games.
Yeah.
I think you like high 130s, low 140s.
They shouldn't be starting in March.
I don't want them to start in March. I want you to wait till maybe even April double digits.
Yeah.
But I want you to end by mid-September because the playoffs should not be getting into and past Halloween.
Yeah.
They shouldn't. And you certainly shouldn't be in November, which I, guess if you're past
I'll
Halloween.
give you that last week of October if it reaches a Game 7.
Right, Game 7 of the World Series, if that's October 26th or something like that, okay.
Right.
But, like the Phillies World Series parade was on Halloween.
Yeah.
It should never
And
be
they
any
won-
later than
And
that.
they won
No.
in 5 games.
Right, yeah. So November baseball is weird. Well, I think the World Series game we went to in 2009 was in November, was it
think it was.
not?
Could have been. Yeah.
I thought like November 1st or 2nd.
Yeah.
And that was only the middle of the World Series.
Right.
So I agree with you on that. Football is an interesting one. Because I'm at the point I don't like where the schedule is ending in February. However, I'm not opposed to 18 regular season games.
I'm not either, but I think
But-
there's, I'm not happy about the number of bye weeks. I'm not happy about the.
Well, there's only one.
There's only
I
one bye
know,
week.
I know, but then you've got the week
you
off
have-
before. You got
yeah.
the Pro Bowl, where do we really need a Pro Bowl in football because
Yeah, well,
the
that-
stars, if they're playing, they don't want to play anyway.
They've almost
So
eliminated that. To me, I don't think you need that week off between the conference championships and the Super Bowl. I don't think you
don't.
need it. It wasn't always there and has been eliminated once in the last 20 years, I believe. Probably for something with
I think it
the
was
arena.
COVID, maybe.
I could have been. I don't remember.
know.
But it wasn't always there,
No.
especially when we
but
were
that would
younger.
that would take 3 weeks. That would give you 3 weeks back, and that puts you back to mid-October,
No.
wouldn't it?
What are you talking about?
If you
We're
take
talking
the-
football.
Yeah. If
And
you,
it ends in February.
I mean, in February, it would take you back
Oh,
to
you're
the
talking
end of
about into
January.
January,
Into
okay.
January.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, see,
into
no,
January.
okay.
Well, so this is what the NFL needs to do. The NFL needs to move up to start at Labor Day. They started at Labor Day many, many years ago. When we were younger, they were starting at Labor Day. I don't really understand why they gave that
Well,
up.
and Labor Day is so late this year. They're
Right.
starting extra late.
Yeah, so the first game is until September 9th.
What I don't like is January 10th is still the regular season this year.
Yeah, that's
No.
like
First
that's
week-
wrong.
First Sunday in January should be the last regular season game of the NFL. In my mental calendar, like that's when that should be.
Your first regular season full slate of games should be the first Sunday of September.
Yes.
And then go to 18 games. They're going to add 2 bye weeks, 1 preseason game. You don't need more than 1 preseason game. Honestly, you could
Anymore.
possibly start the NFL season in the last weekend of August then
Right.
to make the calendar fit a little bit better. And I know none of this is going to happen, but first week of the season's the end of August. The last Sunday in August is the first full weekend, which means whatever Wednesday, Thursday kickoff they want to do is a few days earlier, fine. 18 games, 2 bye weeks, eliminate the week between the conference championship and the Super Bowl, and you still might be able to hit the end of January then. If not the first weekend
First
of
week of
February.
February.
I'm okay with. I don't like that it necessarily drags on so long, but this year to me is ideal because Super Bowl Sunday
Is it
President's
President's
Day
weekend?
Oh.
It is also Valentine's Day. The Super Bowl is on Valentine's Day this year. Yeah. So
Maybe we should also have a show that Sunday, and we can really hit a home run.
oh my gosh.
One of these years,
Well,
we could have a
maybe-
show during the Super Bowl. If the Eagles and Dolphins aren't playing, why not? Like, what's it going to
exactly.
be to us then?
So
I mean, the Dolphins aren't going to be playing, so
Oh my gosh, can you imagine a show where the Cowboys are in the playoffs and I'm just there trolling your dad the whole time?
whole week.
Cowboys Patriots, and it's you. It's
We could
your
do-
dad and uncle, and we're just sitting there just antagonizing them.
We could do a live Super Bowl watch as a show because
Just to be clear, Cowboys Patriots Super Bowl is my nightmare. Like that is my nightmare.
the
I
ratings.
wouldn't
though,
give the
Justin,
ratings. I
goodness.
wouldn't watch it.
Oh my goodness.
I mean the ratings for this show. If we're here commentating the Super
Yes,
Bowl,
yes.
just trolling everyone. So yeah, no, I think that's good. So I do agree with you that the seasons are too long. In 3 out of the 4, I think football needs a shift. I'm not opposed to the number of games football is playing. NFL,
No, I agree.
but both they and college need a shift.
Right.
They need a shift. I'm sorry. And we're not even going to dive into college football playoff stuff, but the way their schedule is set up is asinine.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
really, really terrible. And it's going to be really bad for the next 2 years, I think?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
That they're playing towards the end of January. No, it's awful. Awful.
4 week. Like we complain about the extra week between the
There's
conference
like
championship
2.5
game and Super
weeks
Bowls,
between-
and it's longer. Oh, and then like next thing you know, we're gonna have that game on a random Tuesday night or something crazy. I know
And
it's on Monday
it'd be a
nights,
West
but,
Coast,
like,
so it'd
it's
be like 9 o'clock
8:45
start.
kickoff.
Oh, that is the number
That's the
one.
one.
Oh,
That's the one.
yeah, we found it. We nailed it. That is it. So, pet peeve of all pet peeves is the start times for marquee. The Super Bowl is the only one that has it right.
6:37
6:37
or
whatever.
Perfect.
You should not be starting a World Series game at 9 o'clock.
I'm sorry, it's
8:45 at night.
ridiculous.
That's-
Well, and the March Madness stuff. Like,
Oh my
I
gosh.
don't like. Look,
8:40 start.
right,
my gosh.
but
Whatever.
and
No.
like basketball is hard enough for me to want to watch.
No, thanks.
If your game is
I'm just-
starting at 9 p.m.,
I'm not watching,
I'm
I'm
not
going to bed.
watching it.
And not on a Saturday. Like you want to have it at 9. You want to have an 8:40
On a Friday or
tip-off?
Saturday?
Have it on a Friday night or Saturday
Yeah.
night. Because and again, I have said this to you. I think the things like the way society used to be. Yes, you're like eking out a time where like, oh, we don't want to not have our big shows on. We also want to get an additional big night. It doesn't matter. The Super Bowl does not matter. Like there is nothing you can do that will convince me that if you put the Super Bowl on Saturday night,
Right.
Sorry.
It's not
That-
going to change anything.
that you wouldn't have 100 and into the tens, millions of viewers.
No.
Like I don't believe it.
The games used to start earlier, and they still had
Well,
all those
they used to
viewers.
show them on tape delay.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
Honestly,
the Miracle on Ice was on tape delay.
And one of the best 30 for 30s is that like June 17th one or whatever. It's the day like Griffey hit his 40th home run. The
that
Rangers.
June whatever 1994.
Right,
It was
yes.
overshadowed by OJ.
Right,
Yes.
all this stuff.
Yes,
I think
yes.
the Rangers parade or were playing in the game to win the Stanley Cup.
Oh, wow.
But like they used to show like Stanley Cup. This was in the 90s. They were still like talking about tape delay on like certain things. Like think about how insane that is. That seems like such a foreign idea, but it also wasn't getting spoiled necessarily. You go online and you see something like that.
Well,
wasn't
yeah.
gonna
That's
happen.
true.
Times have changed
Yeah,
there.
the 7 o'clock news would say, turn off the volume now if you don't want to know who won.
Another pet peeve came screaming into my mind as here we were talking about the timing of the start of games, and now I've lost it. I feel was it related to college football? I don't know. Maybe
Big noon kickoff.
Oh, that's awful as well.
Did you see the thing this year? I think I sent it to you.
I figured it out.
Okay, go ahead.
There is no excuse to have college football games on Friday nights.
Oh, absolutely.
Friday nights around the country are high school football games.
Absolutely.
Putting and maybe I should qualify it that the Power Four should not be having football games on Friday nights. You want to put Maction on Friday night? All right, maybe I can see it. But there is no reason that Penn State should be playing on a Friday night.
Maction should be Tuesday nights, so
Right,
it helps
exactly.
fill the void.
Fill the void
But-
after Monday Night Football. You have Maction on
Right,
Tuesday. But
No
you
better
have
time
enough
for
on Friday.
Akron Toledo than
Right.
on.
But that's what I mean. Like
Right.
Thursday
Yes.
is college football. Now we get one NFL game. Cool, whatever. Friday is high school. I don't want to see anything else on Fridays. Saturday is college football.
See,
Sunday is
right.
NFL.
Professional.
Monday is
Monday's
NFL.
NFL.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Maction all
See,
night long.
I love when we get home from the Wilson game and I can turn on and still see the second half of like Fresno State, Colorado State on a Friday night because look, I'm not watching Fresno State, Colorado State, but
Right.
guess what I'm watching as I'm eating
Sure.
our Wawa because we won.
Because we also
Right.
for winners, yeah.
Right, I'm gonna watch that game, or
Right,
some
but
of it.
but there
like,
should not be an SEC team
No.
playing on a Friday night. There should not be Big Ten teams
or
playing on
Penn
Friday
State
night.
playing at Northwestern.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't care that you're opening your stadium. I don't care.
Right.
We do not need to fill these windows with big time programs on Friday night when
That is a
the
high school
people
football night.
you are recruiting to play are playing their games. And now fans have to make a choice. Well, am I going to go to the local community game or am I going to stay home and watch Penn State? Like, it's ridiculous that they have to put that out there to make a choice. For what reason? For what reason? To fill broadcast windows for Fox, CBS, and ESPN.
Yep.
Right, and it's
Get
not
out of
that
here.
serious because the biggest schools
Don't
playing.
say
Don't
no,
host.
Say
They
no,
don't
we're not
host.
doing it. We will not have a home game on those days.
Right, and
they'll play away games.
Penn State, Ohio State, and Michigan State have
Right.
said colorful language to the people in charge,
Right.
but they still get forced every few years to play away Friday
On
night.
away Friday,
It's
yeah.
awful.
Right.
It's awful. Ugh.
Yes. Yes.
Got me fired up.
I'm sorry.
That's the
Sorry.
one.
Sorry.
All
Sorry.
right.
I thought you were going to mention because I sent this to you that on Sunday of Labor Day weekend there are two college football
yes,
games,
stupid.
and they both have a 7:30
Why
kickoff
are you
time on
competing against
networks.
each other? Put them back to back.
Right.
Like, why? It makes no sense.
No.
Well, the people in charge of all these decisions are some of the biggest idiots I've ever. They might be the smartest people, but they're idiots.
Right.
Because all they're dealing with is dollar signs. They
Yes.
don't
Right.
care
They
about
don't-
anything else.
That seems to
every
be the-
dollar is equal in their
Right, yes,
Like,
exactly.
it's the same
But
things
they
behind
don't
that,
care about the
like,
fan experience.
No,
I mean,
no.
well, just look.
It's
And this is an MLB thing, not a Phillies thing. We had talked to people about All-Star game tickets.
yeah.
Oh,
Would love
oh,
to go.
Right.
Yes.
Talk to people. I mean, honestly, you probably are familiar with what's going on.
We
People with
tried.
partial game packages were
We
offered
tried.
the opportunity.
Yes.
You had to buy something else. I think it was Home Run Derby or something
Uh-huh.
like that. Then the ticket package started like $1,100.
Yeah.
to get what we were looking at through Jeff's package, if they could have done it, started at like I think $1,500 or $1,600,
that's-
and it was two things. So you had
Right.
to go down twice, and
You
that
were 2
that
days
was,
in a row.
That was just getting you into the ballpark.
Into the game, yeah.
That's not paying for the parking.
No.
God knows what parking's
what they're
going to be
gonna
Probably
because
do
it's
50
not.
bucks. They'll
I
probably do
thi-
$50 a car. For
You
that.
know,
I could see it be more.
Yeah.
And those weren't seats where our season ticket seats.
Right. Yeah, you weren't guaranteed
You
your
know,
own
they've
seat.
made it unaffordable, but I feel that way about a lot of
About-
the,
well,
you
and-
know, there's so many things. That was another pet peeve was the amount. How do you take a family to that?
You can't.
Well, people do, and they can't, you
Right.
know, and
Well, they're making a decision that
you know,
I'm not willing to
but,
make.
but- exactly, you know, sell my house. But World Cup was the same
Oh
way.
well, that I don't even.
And then
oh,
we
Well,
have-
and then they couldn't sell the tickets, and now they're
They're
stuck like with a bunch of tickets. 'cause
But
Well,
then
you-
I saw
undersold.
one of our former athletes, swimmer out in California. I didn't realize, or maybe this was just the way it was posted, is that I thought Olympians were granted tickets to future Olympics. But I saw what Christy was posting about what she was having to pay, you know, as she was in the queue to get to events. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, you know, out in LA to go to swimming events and you're looking at $1,200, $1,500, $1,600. It's absurd.
Well, if we wanted to dovetail into talking about greed and corruption after talking about college football, going with FIFA and the IOC is a great way to continue this show. But I feel like we need some happier
We'd
topics.
be
Oh, and
shifting
then-
out of pet peeves into just straight up anger.
and then-
anger into
Legal and moral issues.
yes.
You don't want to go there with
As
me.
opposed to, you know, is this quarterback better? Or is this quarterback
You're
better?
right, yeah.
The
Pure
other
corruption.
the other area that I wanted to look at, and Justin said, "Oh my God, you can tell you're from Baltimore," were your top 5 sports all-time memory type things.
Okay, so do these have to be good memories? Because
No,
a lot of
no,
sports memories are not good memories.
Because I started out with mine, and I said, "What were things that left an impact
Sure,
on
sure.
me?" And one of those was when Lenny Bias from Maryland
Okay.
died. That was back then a huge rippling effect through Maryland. The fact that I can still recall his name and how he died, and that he had been drafted or picked up by the Boston Celtics, I believe was the team he was going to. Such talent. But that, not a good memory at all, but it was one I have remembered to this day because it made such an impact on, not necessarily on me personally, but wow, it's a sports memory that stuck with me was him.
So
And I'm not a college basketball person.
right.
So.
No, I understand. Yeah, those things can stick with us, and I honestly do. And someone that we talk to a lot on our other show, Justin, always tells us that the bad sticks
Right.
with you more than the good. And the Wilson Bulldogs have a lot of good to their names, especially in the 25 plus years that Coach Ernie Walber has been there. He also has multiple years as a player that were very successful. But he tells us all the time when we ask him in our annual summer sit down, he doesn't remember a lot of the good, but the bad sticks with him forever. And I think that's true across the sports spectrum. A lot of the ones off the top of my head, I'm sure Justin is going to be right there with me because it's going to be Mitch Williams in Game 6 against the Toronto Blue Jays in 1993. That one will stick with me forever. That was awful. Another one for me personally, you can probably remember the game, but you didn't care because you're not a Dolphins fan, but it was Dan Marino, the Dolphins failing to hold on to a lead against the San Diego Chargers with Stan Humphries and Natrone Means.
gosh.
The Chargers went into the Super Bowl that year and got obliterated by the 49ers. I'm not sure the Dolphins were beating the 49ers anyways, but they didn't have that opportunity because they choked against the Chargers, including a missed Pete Stoyanovich field goal. I will remember that forever.
Well, that's one for me, and I've said this multiple times on the show, was the Eagles losing the Super Bowl was tough, but like in my mind, the Patriots, it wasn't a shock to me. Like
You're talking about that 04,
Yes,
05,
yes.
05.
the 05 Super Bowl. The 04 season
Right.
was the tough one because they lost to the Buccaneers
Bucks,
at
yeah.
home to close the bet, which they should have won. They were better than the Bucks, and the Bucks destroyed the Raiders.
Yeah.
And that was the tough one for me because I'm like, that's the one that should have been. Now they have gone on since, but it was a long time. But like at the time, no Philly team had won in my lifetime, and that was the one that like it seemed like there was going to be a chance. But
Well,
and looking back, I don't know that any team could have beat the Patriots since they knew what plays were coming. So gotta get that in there.
Well, I gave you my bad Phillies and my bad Dolphins. There's many for Phillies and Dolphins over the years of bad I can give you. But I got to give you bad Flyers. And Justin knows this one.
Yep.
May 7th, 2000, Flyers fully blow their 3-1 lead against the New Jersey Devils and fall in 7 games to Scott freaking Stevens, who destroyed Eric Lindros and basically ended his Flyers career in front of my eyes. I was at the game. Was ready to send him to the Stanley Cup, and Scott Stevens and the Devils and Martin Brodeur, they ended up winning. Was it 1-0 or 2-1? That I don't remember. I just was so deflated after that game because that felt like the year that was Simone Gagne's rookie season. It felt like it was meant to be. Lindros came back, had only played a few games and came back for the playoffs. And that team was so good, which I believe both Rick Tocchet and Rod Brindamore played on that team, I think. I felt like 97 sucked, but they got swept by the Red Wings. So
Right.
like this team felt like they were
when you
it.
get swept, there aren't a lot of what
Right.
ifs, you know?
So, if they had lost 7 games to the Red Wings, that would be on there. But they got swept by the Red Wings and didn't look great at all during it. And I will always remember those stupid Red Wings names forever. Sergei Fedorov. But the 2000 one to the Devils, that's the one that sticks out to me as a Flyers fan. Probably next up would be the Game 7 loss to the Tampa Bay Lightning and John Tortorella in 2004. That one hurt too. But that was the same, or no, it was the 2000, maybe 2000 was the year. No, because it was Keith Primo. I guess it was 04. When did they beat the Penguins in overtime? That was 2000, wasn't it? So that Brindamore wasn't on that team because they traded Brindamore for Keith Primo. But 04 was rough too. That was nearing the end for Keith Primo. Of course, we could also say, Justin, the Patrick Kane goal in Game 6 against the Chicago Blackhawks.
Who Greg was at that game.
Yes. So,
Stop going to games.
but you and Greg were also at
Right.
the
right. I
Phillies
also have some
winning
good
the
ones.
World
So
Series.
Phillies, Phillies winning the World Series. That was the first championship for a team in my lifetime, other than the Penn State National Championship when I was too young to remember.
Well, yeah, but see, I don't count that because we like
weren't conscious enough for
anything
it. Like,
for me that happened pre 1993. I don't count because I don't remember it. 93.
Then that would be all my memories.
93 is the first sports season I can remember. I remember the Phillies season and the Dolphins season, and the Flyers in a year or two after that. I can start to remember watching and going to those games.
Being at the Phillies when they won the World Series was incredible, and then seeing. I honestly didn't know if the Eagles would ever win a Super Bowl, but seeing them win the Super Bowl was incredible. To beat the Patriots was
with a backup quarterback,
right? Like unbelievable. And then to get to see the Eagles win another Super Bowl, it's insane. It's just I don't know.
That's why I said
surprised that and it's one of those things where it's like, oh man. Oh, I've got one.
Good or bad?
Bad. But it led to a good. Being in the stadium when Chad threw a touchdown with 2 seconds left to rip our hearts out and keep us from an undefeated season, and this part I don't know, but I am convinced there is not a chance that the powers that be would have selected let Penn State play someone play USC or Texas in the national championship when USC and Texas were both undefeated too. It would not have happened. And
that's one of the greatest college football games of all time. We would have been deprived of it.
We got to go then to see
Penn
State,
to the
Florida
Orange Bowl.
State 3 overtimes.
We went separately,
yes,
but we saw each other.
Saw each other there, yeah. So there was a lot of good that came out of that, but oh my goodness, that was a tough one in the moment.
I'll end my part of this on a positive note because I feel like I was completely negative for everything. So I'll go with a positive Penn State note, which is the 2005 season as a whole.
Yeah.
Being a student at Penn State for that resurrection of the program. But that entire day surrounding Ohio State at Penn State with game day and you being up there without a ticket to the game, just hanging out. And me, you, and Nick have that photo that I share every year.
That's when my buddy Sean was interning with, I believe, Pittsburgh Central Catholic. So we had to come up on Friday after he was done.
The game, yeah.
So we came up super late. This is 2005. The cell phones just didn't work when lots of people were around.
Yeah.
So you had told me
they were just phones.
When you're on Beaver Avenue, it's just there's an apartment building between two pizza shops. Okay,
find it.
We first have to drop off Jesse at an apartment complex out off of North Atherton. Does not know which apartment is his friend's. We drive in. He's
Don't
like,
tell me these stories.
You could see there was a party going on. Jesse's like, I'll just go check to see if any of them know. I don't know. Let's just say Jim. He goes in and is like, does anybody know Jim? And they're like, yeah, he lives right upstairs. So they took him upstairs, and that's how he met. Sean drops me off on Beaver Avenue because Joey popped his head out, came down to get me. I went in, and then we're like, we'll see each other sometime tomorrow, I guess. That's what we did.
God, I don't want to know.
Yeah,
don't tell me. Don't tell me.
That was how it went. But yes, that was.
I mean, it was 21 years ago. So, so that photo comes up in my time hop, my Facebook memories or whatever of me, you, and Nick outside of game day, and there's that guy photobombing us that we have no idea who it is. People are always like, "Who's that? What's that guy doing?" And I'm like, "I don't know," because we don't know him. It's the three of us, not him. But we got up super early to go up and watch College Game Day up by Beaver Stadium. Then we said goodbye to the girls, Kelly and her roommate Jenny, and maybe Chelsea too. They were like, "We're not staying with you here all day," because the game didn't start till 8 o'clock. And they weren't letting the students in, I think, until 6. But the line was starting at noon. People were there was already Paternoville.
Right.
So there were people camping out, so they were already in line. So game day got over, and we're like, I guess we're going to get in line for the game 8 hours from now. So Nick and I and Adam, we stood in line for 6 hours, and eventually the girls joined us in the line again. I think we told them to come up at 4. Yeah, what an experience. But then, I mean, the game, it was worth it. When they won, that is the loudest environment I have ever been a part of.
What was the Michigan game we were at where it was so loud? Where
The
Dad and I
2013 overtime game?
It was, no. It was maybe 2019. No, it was Saquon's last year. It was when
17.
17. It was Garrett's first game
Garrett's first game.
at the Penn State. And
What an
we're there.
introduction.
Oh, my
Is that the one
gosh.
where you returned the opening kickoff for a touchdown?
No, but they gave it. Saquon lined up behind center, and Trace was next to him, and he took it 80 yards to the house on the first play. That's the. I think Fowler goes, Saquon, say bye-bye, kind of. And, yeah.
I just remember
you
Jeff
and Dad
I
were sitting.
we were
right.
sitting up high because
They
we
got
gave our
seats-
sits to them.
Right, so they're sitting like maybe one of
And
the last
I'm
few
telling
rows.
you, you can feel the stands moving. I did not like it. And they rocked
that was a fun
most
one.
of the game. That was an incredible memory. But that was, a lot of my memories of sports moments are things that I had with my dad.
Oh, sure.
Because my mom really wasn't into sports, although she knew all the players.
she-
and
absolutely.
She probably knew more than I, but I can remember watching, and I can't tell you the year. I can't tell you anything about it. I just remember the Muhammad Ali Frazier fight when boxing used to be, Howard Cosell. It's Wide World of Sports, ABC, and Muhammad Ali had changed his name from Cassius Clay
Yes.
to Muhammad Ali.
Pop was a huge fan of that, right?
Yeah, well, I was a Muhammad Ali fan, and so the fact that I was rooting for,
Didn't go over well.
oh no, but that was one of many things that didn't go over well.
Now, not a second child, but a third child, right? And was also one that if my grandfather said he didn't like whatever, for whatever reason, there was a decent chance that
I liked it,
yeah.
but it was that Colts leaving Baltimore. I mean, that was.
Oh yeah. Well, I
There was
grew
like-
up knowing that you never use Mayflower Moving
No,
Company.
no,
Like,
no,
that's-
no, and there was like a pall over the town. I don't even remember what year it was. Was it 93?
No, it was before that. I feel like it was in the 80s.
Oh, sorry, Joey.
No, you're fine.
It's genetic. I knock stuff over every week.
You're right. You're right. It is.
When was it? Hold on.
So that had to be in the
1986.
80s. I was going to say mid
1986.
80s. So.
June. No. That was Len Bias. Hold on.
Oh.
When was? I'm trying to find here.
All right.
I thought it was in the 80s.
1984.
Yeah, okay.
1984.
Yep, March
okay.
28th, 29th, 1984.
Well, and
So
it was
actually
because
before I was born.
wasn't there some kind of legislation being enacted that was going to start like the next day or something that would have prevented them from moving?
Yes.
Right.
yes.
Yeah, yes.
And I tease your one roommate about it all the time that we have two Baltimore teams now that
Right.
play.
I said they were so distraught about it they stole a team from another.
Yeah.
But
Irsay wanted us to pay for preseason games, 1 o'clock starts, improvements to Memorial Stadium. The legislature
I've been
was
to a game
about
at
to use
Memorial
eminent
Stadium.
domain to seize the club, so Irsay had to make a move.
I just can't believe this is happening.
Mayor Schaefer from his front steps of his home.
The Colts had to sneak out of town at night. It degrades a great tradition of the city in football.
The legendary late newsman John Stedman, who saw every Colts game home and away.
I doubt if Robert Irsay realizes tonight the full impact or the
Hear that
the
Baltimore
extent
accent.
of his sin in pulling away a football team that was a big part of the fiber of Baltimore.
One of the greatest fans of all time, Loudy.
We've got 27 years involved at Corrals with this ball club, so why should we stop? We'll be here when the new Colts come in.
The Baltimore Ravens came to town, and the only way to erase a memory like tonight is to win the next Super Bowl in Indianapolis.
You all right?
I don't even call them that to me when we do that
right.
team,
Justin
it's
and I,
Indianapolis.
yeah.
You
Indianapolis,
all talk about that C team. No, that was Baltimore, and I still have my Baltimore Colts bobblehead. But I remember those not so much that they impacted me, but I can remember my family,
connection.
Sure.
my
Yeah.
dad.
Yeah.
But my one good, I have lots
Yeah.
of good
Let's
ones.
let's
but
end it
one-
on a good
one.
note.
It was Nadia Comaneci in the Olympics. She was the first Olympic gymnast to ever score a perfect 10.
Okay.
And there was a whole lot of stuff that came after that. But I remember I always liked watching gymnastics, and seeing that perfect 10 was phenomenal. She was just a tiny little thing, and she went on to become a real advocate for Special Olympics and kids with challenges in her Olympic career. But that was a good one. That and Miracle on Ice. I remember watching that game, Washington, D.C. I was with your dad. It was great. It was great. It was a lot of fun. So those were
On
some
tape
of the
delay.
memories.
On tape delay.
On
Yeah.
tape delay.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, that's a great way to wrap up with a positive sports memory, something that's ingrained in your mind. So, well, Cheryl, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks
Appreciate
for having
you
me.
joining us.
It will never happen again, I'm sure.
Well, hey, you got that one time. We had many years ago now. We had the dads on because they tied in our
Yep,
bracket
yep,
challenge.
yep.
Jeff and my dad, Bill, joined us for a show after tying for the championship. Now we have you on. I don't think we'll ever have my mom here because when she picks her bracket, which she does, it's mostly off of vibes in terms of mascots or colors. So I feel like it's going to be tough for her to go all the way with that, but you never know.
Hey.
You never know what's going to happen. So
You would definitely be talking Flyers. though.
100%.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
yes.
I loved
Yep.
her Flyers flag hanging outside. So
Yeah, so
that's good.
You're right, Justin. She would be talking Flyers 100%. We could reminisce about those 70s Flyers that she
As long
remembers
as she
so
doesn't
fondly.
defer and let Corinne pick, we're good.
Right, yeah. Well, no, we put in the clause, no transfers. The winnings are not transferable, so... yeah, but so this wraps up episode 440 of the Joe Mays and J-Raff show. Justin and I will not be back on this program together for a long time. This show will be back on July 5th, and it'll probably be Natalie, my oldest daughter, and myself talking NFL predictions for the upcoming season. Justin and I will be back together on a show. It'll be the Bulldog Hour in about a month on June 21st, I believe it is. So just a lot going on over the next 4 weeks at the end of the school year and the start of summer with Haley's birthday and Memorial Day and all kinds of stuff. So no shows from us for a while at JMNJR Radio, but stick tuned to the social media and you will see when you can catch us again. Bulldog Hour next on June 21st, and then Joe Mays and J-Raff show returns with Natalie on the evening of July 5th after America 250. It wraps up. I can never remember how to say the actual centennials, semisesquicentennials, and
Hey,
a lot of stuff
250.
going on.
250.
I did see in a few things. I sent Justin an old news clipping of the Phillies winning the World Series in 1980. Also in that collection of archival family stuff was a Pennsylvania Centennial metal plate, 1776 to 1976.
I graduated in 76. So.
Oh, that number means a lot for you then.
Yep.
All right, so that wraps it up. Thank you so much for joining us, Cheryl, and thank you
for
so
having
much
me. Appreciate it.
for coming over and participating in our bracket challenge. But that's it. So for Justin and myself, that's the end of the Joe Mays and J-Raff show for this week. We hope everyone has a great rest of your spring, a wonderful Memorial Day, and hopefully you'll hear from us again real soon. Take care.
That's a wrap on this episode of the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show, brought to you by Mays Sandwich Shop. You can watch each weekly episode live on Facebook, Periscope, or YouTube. Be sure to like, follow, or subscribe to the show on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and Google Play. You can also rate and review us on many of these platforms as well. We'd love to hear from you. Send your emails to the Mays Sandwich Shop inbox at joemaysandjraff@gmail.com. The Joe Mays and J-Raff Show is a part of the JMNJR Radio Network, home to other productions such as The Bulldog Hour, Tangents with Friends, and Nat Chats with Dad. Until next time.